Look, I want to speak to you about what is a key issue in America, and that's the issue of the crossings at the southern border. Now, Vice President JD Vance has visited the southern border, explaining that there has been a reduction of border crossings and quite a significant reduction, a reduction of 98%. Listen to this.
The reason why we've seen, as Pete said, a 98% reduction of border crossings, the reason why this particular site has gone from over 1,500 crossings per day to 30 crossings per day is because President Trump has empowered and, in fact, demanded that his whole government take the task of border control seriously.
We know that illegal immigration was such a key issue for voters in the election, and so this is what many Americans really want to see. And it's quite a significant number when you look at the length of time that Trump and his administration have been in power for. It's not all that long.
No, well, I've done a great job so far, as you can see from that chart and from what JD Vance has said. Look, again, it's totally unsustainable for a country to have 10 million, 20 million, whatever, we'll never know the number, but it seems like it's north of 10 million illegal immigrants coming into their country that have to be housed and fed and educated and provided health care, etc., etc. I mean, it's unsustainable. And that's why the working class in America, the blue-collar Democrats, so many of them shifted to Donald Trump. Because they know that their dollars are going to pay for these people. Well, they can't afford food themselves. So you can't have more than 10 million undocumented immigrants coming into America. As much as you want to have compassion from those people who are less fortunate, no country can have an open border. And if you look at what the UN says there's more than 50 million people looking for a new home. And if the truth be known, there would be hundreds of millions who would like to come and live in America. Well, it's just unsustainable. So Trump is doing exactly what Trump said he'd do. He wants to also stop the flow of fentanyl into his country.
Yes.
These are things which are immensely popular amongst working Americans.
Donald Trump addressed Congress yesterday. There was so many things that came out of that, but one moment that I haven't spoken about in the show yet is when he honoured Corey Compatore, who was, of course, the hero who was shot and tragically killed during the attempted assassination of President Trump. This is what Donald Trump had to say.
Corey Compatore was a firefighter, a veteran, a Christian, a husband, a devoted father, and above all, a protector. When the sound of gunshots pierced the air, it was a horrible sound. Corey knew instantly what it was and what to do. He threw himself on top of his wife and daughters and shielded them from the bullets with his own body. Corey was hit really hard.
I thought that was just so powerful to have members of Corey's family right there, and really Trump speaking about it. It takes us all back, because we all witnessed that moment when there was a shooting.
Look, it was a great moment in what was a greatest hits speech yesterday. He had the full Trump orchestra playing yesterday in that speech to one of them. To one of the young girl who'd become disabled as a result of something that happens at a women's sporting match, to one of that young 13-year-old boy, a cancer survivor. I mean, these were touching moments in a great speech by Trump. And, you know, he remembered the Compatore family at the Republican National Convention. If you remember, he had the firefighter's helmet there. I mean, that was a very, very, very powerful speech yesterday, which would have got great plaudits throughout America. It was just sad, wasn't it? I mean, to see those pathetic Democrats with these holding up these lollipop signs. I mean, it was just pathetic. What a terrible sight that was. If you're a Democrat supporter and you had to watch Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries and these other losers sitting there with nothing to say. I mean, it was a very memorable performance by Trump. Obviously, he's got his critics. Some things he tends to exaggerate. Well, he's a showman. That's Trump. But there were touching moments, and as you say, that was certainly one of them, Gab.
Absolutely. And look, you mentioned the Democrats. They were absolutely pathetic, and just they had so many opportunities where they could have clapped, they could have stood up, showed where, you know, they wanted to show solidarity, but they're too self-absorbed. But if you listen to Rosa DeLurio, she had this take on what Donald Trump had to say.
found the speech to be vengeful, revengeful, and instead of being lifting the hopes and the aspirations of people of the United States, of how we move forward as the great nation that we are, what the vision for our future was, it devolved into just vindictiveness and self-adulation on behalf of Donald Trump. It did not address the issue of unchecked billionaires like his friend, ally, and Elon Musk. It was not a speech befitting a great world leader or a great president of the United States.
Just when I thought they couldn't possibly get any more miserable, they managed to. What did you make of that?
You know, sometimes, Gab, in life, words and pictures just speak for themselves. And there's nothing you can add to that flourish of that. There's nothing you can add. You just watch that and you think, oh my goodness. I mean, that is the Democratic Party today. That performance, right? That speaks for itself. And you watch that and you think to yourself, no wonder the Democrats lost. You look at the coalition that Trump's putting together, right, in over the last few years. Big tech, always on the side of the Democrats. He's dragged them over to the Republican Party. Big business, you know, disowning the Democrats, now coming towards Trump. Most importantly, the working middle class, the great working middle class of America, who want strong borders, they want law and order, they don't want sanctuary cities, and they don't want their dollars wasted. And one of the things the Democrats are most upset about, most vengeful about, is the fact that Elon Musk is uncovering all of these rabbit holes where Democrats were paying money, employing other activists and Democrats all across America, tens of thousands of them. Democrats employed in USAID and all these other rotten boroughs, you know, and Trump and Musk is closing down these organisations, political organisations, activist organisations, and of course this is the base of the Democratic Party. Political activists paid for by the government. Well, Trump and Musk are closing these loopholes. That's why the Democrats are so angry. All of their allies, who are their activists, are losing their jobs, and thank God for that. And so the Democrats are consigned to that poor lady, wherever she was in a hardware shop, bleating about absolutely nothing. I mean, that's the Democratic Party today. It's a sad state of affairs, isn't it?
Look, I agree with you, and we're not the only ones.
Except she didn't have the lollipop. She should have had the lollipop. You need the lollipop.
Stephen Colbert had something to say about the lollipop. Let's take a look.
Barked out one appalling claim after another, but don't you worry. The Democrats came ready to fight back with their little paddles, okay? That is how you save democracy, by quietly dissenting or bidding on an antique tea set. It was hard to tell what was going on. I'm just kidding. That was very cool, Democrats. In fact, I made my own sign.
It's brilliant. Try do something. Maybe try do something. But no, the Democrats have made themselves a laughing stock right around the world.
Well, they have. I mean, you look at what Trump's doing, right? Now, let's say this is a guy prone to exaggeration, but he's a negotiator. So he starts out with position, C, and works his way back to position A. That's what he does. He overreaches and works his way back. Everything's a deal. So what has he done so far? He's trying to cut the unsustainable American budget deficit. $36 trillion of debt, we know that. Over $1 trillion a year in debt. And what have American presidents done? They've just handed this hot potato onto the next president and got Congress to increase the debt ceiling. So what are the Democrats? What's their idea to get the American budget back into surplus before, as Musk says, America goes broke? Nothing. What do they do about the borders? Nothing. What were they able to do to resolve the position in Gaza? Nothing. What were they able to do to resolve the war in the Ukraine? Nothing. What were they able to do to those countries who put tariffs on Americans' goods, but don't have goods coming to America with tariffs? Nothing. The American economy and American society was just slowly fading into oblivion until Trump's come along. Now, I don't particularly like the way he and Zelensky have warred, but there's method in his madness.
Yes.
So all of these things Trump's doing, he's trying to quickly stop America bleeding to death. And whether it's at an economic level, at a social level, at a political level, and the Democrats have got no ideas whatsoever, apart from that poor lady in the hardware shop. I mean, seriously?
I know. Michael Kroger, we have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Gab.